This is TechVibe Pittsburgh. It's your front row seat to Pittsburgh's technology and innovation ecosystem. I'm your host, Jonathan Kersting with the Pittsburgh Technology Council, where I've been telling the stories of Pittsburgh's technology companies for nearly 30 years now. Today, I have an amazing guest hanging out with me. We're welcoming Josh Caputo, the founder of Humotech, to the show. And his story is pretty amazing, building this company over the past 10 years. And he's doing something that we don't often think about. The idea if you're being fitted for a prosthesis and having it fit properly. His company has the technology that does that and gains lots of efficiencies. It's been an amazing story. He's been pouring his heart out on this thing for a very long time, and he's just reaching a point of getting some serious traction. So it's really exciting for us to catch up with him, get a little bit of his story to see what's going on at Humotech. So let's welcome Josh to the show today. So Josh, fantastic to have you here in the Huntington Bank studios. This is where we tell the cool stories. The company's making Pittsburgh kick ass. What you guys are doing at Humotech, I'm amazed with. And your journey's been cool. So much has changed over the past few years. And we're here for a bit of an update and just a get to know you again type of thing because it's been too long. Thanks for hanging out with me today.
Thanks for having me, Jonathan. We love PTC and happy to be here.
We'll keep on talking. So first and foremost, tell us about Josh. I'm always amazed when people start a company. I feel like you could work any place you want to, right? But you're like, no, I have an idea. I want to pursue it. And especially with what Humotech's all about, I get pretty jazzed because it's helping people in tremendous ways. Tell me about yourself and when you started Humotech.
Yeah, of course. In college at Carnegie Mellon, I felt a strong sense of purpose that I was in a town where I should start a robotics company. That seed was planted early. I bounced around working in different industries. I was looking for that purpose to use my skills to help people. In grad school, just serendipity, found myself, meeting a professor for the first time who did research in wearable robotics. Many people, I didn't even know what that meant in the beginning. But yeah, jumped headfirst into the lab and started research and development for Humotech.
Okay. Was robotics your background?
Yeah. I had an interesting blend of degrees in undergraduate that I would summarize as robotics. Before CMU had the robotics program.
Are you from Pittsburgh originally?
Born and raised in the Northeast, but went to high school, Mount Lebanon Seniors 06.
All right, man. Cool.
And then, Pittsburgh just got its hooks in me. I've been here for a long time.
We want you staying here because you're building a really cool company. So, give us the kind of overview now what Humotech is up to. I want to jump into some really cool, fun questions because I'm thinking, man, people are going to learn so much about what you're doing. I think their minds are going to go like that.
Thanks, Jonathan. So it's been a long journey, and we're here at a pretty exciting, pivotal moment. For 10 years, Humotech has been selling exoskeleton and prosthetic products to research and development groups. And that's been good for us. That's a bootstrapped business, built it with my bare hands, lots of blood, sweat, and tears.
First off, you said 10 years. That's blowing my mind. I'm thinking 4 or 5 years, but no, 10 years. You're a decade into this.
It's funny to wake up on the other side of having done something for 10 years, built these systems and deployed them across the US, Canada, and Europe.
Yeah. Tell me about these systems. I've seen stuff where it's helping people walk because a leg doesn't function. So this exoskeleton could take the place of a joint. Can you give me more details on these things people are using?
I encourage people to think about the possibilities. You may have seen an exoskeleton in a movie. Cartoons are generally very sci-fi.
Yeah.
People wonder, does this stuff really work? Well, it does. Humotech's purpose is to support researchers and innovators develop their products eventually. Most of this will hopefully result in products. So that's what we've been doing for 10 years. We provide this supporting technology and services business that helps generate interesting scientific results and product prototypes more quickly.
Gotcha.
Than if they had to do it all from scratch. So the pivotal moment that we're at is we've done a lot of these deployments, tested with hundreds of people with disabilities, and now we've got the data that we want to drive our commercialization efforts into clinics, hospitals, and get closer to helping people in the real world.
Let's talk about this. You've been doing all this work for 10 years, capturing significant data that you can now use to further, and that is part of what you have dubbed as the Caplex system.
Yeah, the Caplex system is our technology platform. It's a wearable robotic system that could be configured in lots of different
Okay.
ways, depending on how you want to assist a person,
Okay,
whether
so
it's ankles, knees,
do you have
hips.
one for an elbow?
No
I've got
upper
this.
extremity
Yeah.
exoskeletons yet, but
Let me
that's on the
know because I
list.
got this tennis elbow thing going on from all the
Yeah,
guitar playing. I could use a little extra mobile
yeah.
assistive on the elbow.
My wrist is bothering me. I
Okay.
can't help it. Any ache or pain, I'm instantly dreaming up exoskeleton solutions. The problem in our field, whether prosthetic feet, which is an ancient industry, or something brand new like an exoskeleton you might see in the movies, the problem is data. There's a lack
Okay.
of data to help us understand how to design, configure, and select these devices appropriately. There's a lot of analogies I could draw.
Tell me a couple. If you have to wear a prosthetic, everybody's different. Yeah, you got to make these things work just right. It's definitely not a proverbial one size fits all, right? And this is when
Yeah.
you guys come in because you're getting the data as to what works for people and doesn't work, and you can then tailor a better solution.
Yeah, that's right. Prosthetics is an old industry, and we've been focused on feet. Looking for a prosthetic foot is generally a pretty traumatizing experience.
With the rates of diabetes, I remember in the 70s, my grandmother almost lost her foot because of it. People lose limbs because of diabetes. And
Diabetes and vascular disease are the primary
Right.
drivers. Most of us probably have someone in our families affected by this. It's more relatable than people realize because often people with prosthetic devices hide them from sight. So it's one of these medical issues that demands more attention. Thank you for helping us bring more attention. So you're in that situation, you need a foot. What foot is most appropriate? It's surprising there are hundreds of different options on the market, different models of feet made by companies all around.
This is so cool. This is blowing my mind. And they all do slightly different things or have different benefits.
The most natural analogy is like shopping for a pair of shoes.
But you're getting the foot with it.
With prosthetic, the mechanical properties of that foot on your overall health and well-being is much more dramatic. This is a big decision, and it's a lot of money. These prosthetic limbs
I can imagine.
are expensive. Insurance doesn't always cover them 100%. There's a need for better decision-making. Even the world's experts in prosthetic foot care rely heavily on intuition.
Yeah.
They don't have much data or technology at their disposal.
It's just experience having done this over and over again. But now you're able to quantify this with real data.
And so we're all looking for ways of accelerating our impact in our job. And that's what Humotech is trying to do for prosthetists, the clinical practitioners who do this work.
So I feel like you've come to this new focus with the company. And they're in a very addressable market. I'm assuming the demand for this out there, it's got to be pretty big.
Yeah. So as we were talking about earlier, Humotech's focus for the past 10 years has been providing this support to drive innovation in all different directions. Prosthetic feet and the needs that we've been talking about here are a specific focus to bring a commercial clinical solution to market where we think there's a desperate need and where we have an immediate potential solution.
You got a solution right there. Wow.
It's a $2 billion industry globally, which is significant. There are 500,000 new cases of lower limb amputation every year.
Think about that, 500,000 in the U.S.
And the number's unquantifiable at this point.
There's a solution that can help these people. This is a traumatic part of your life, losing a limb, but your technology can help make that a better experience and get something positive out of it and get them up and functioning more closely to how they would be normally.
Normally, after your surgery, you wake up realizing this need for a prosthesis. Assuming all goes well with recovery, you'll be an eligible candidate for a prosthesis, a prosthetic foot. And usually the prosthetist recommends a foot. Using their intuition and clinical experience, they make a recommendation. You, the patient, are not typically part of that decision-making process.
They're just saying, based on what we know from looking at some files, we think this would be, and they're using the word think. I want to be like, this is the thing that's going to get you better.
Yeah, and we're not approaching this, the geniuses that have figured it out, the one-size-fits-all solution. We believe patients need to experience different products so that we can measure what is working best.
That's where you come in with the Caplex system. They can try different things out.
Exactly. Now the patient has this opportunity to, instead of having a recommendation handed to them, they get to go on this test drive experience. And that's what we enable. The clinician has a software interface in which they can choose different foot options and gather immediate real-time feedback.
It's almost like getting eyeglasses. You're like, this better, this better. Like, I don't know, go to the other ones. If you could actually start really seeing how this prosthetic foot
Yeah.
is going to feel and function
I
for
can
yourself.
see, Jonathan, you're wearing eyeglasses. Can you imagine going into the optometrist's office
Right.
and just being handed
Yeah,
glasses?
we think these are going to work for you, Kirsting. And I
Right.
put them on. I'm like, they don't. They're like, well, it's going to be another 6 months before we can try getting you another pair of glasses.
Yeah,
And it's going to cost a lot of money. I don't think you can return the one you had.
So insurance typically will cover a new prosthesis once every 4 years. And we're
Wow.
talking about tens of thousands of dollars. If the fit's not right, you're
Okay.
stuck.
So where are you testing this out?
In our Harmer-based office right here in Pittsburgh. We've been based there for the past few years. We build all the products in-house. A small team of engineers puts everything together, and we're distributing globally now.
Tell me about the clinical testing for this. You've had to put this into action to see it work. Tell me about some of that.
Yeah, thank you. So if you're wondering why did this take 10 years, it's because
Why did it take so long? Come on, man. Jeez, what are you doing?
Some days I wake up and I feel that way. It's taken a lot of hard work to get where we're at. We've been conducting clinical research with the Department of Defense and Veteran Affairs for almost 10 years now.
Oh, that's
testing the product at different sites around the country.
Okay.
The key ones are the Seattle VA, the Minneapolis VA, and Walter Reed Military Hospital in DC. The Department of Defense and Veteran Affairs have been crucial partners because these institutions have committed the funding to take this industry to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough industry. Private capital sometimes struggles to understand longer term.
When you're working with the government doing SBIR stuff, they're giving you money to develop and not taking a chunk of your company. So you can get paid, get your research done, get it to market, and sell it to the government. It is a win-win there. But at the Tech Council, we're huge fans of that.
Brian Kennedy has been amazing.
I know. That's awesome.
For Department of Defense funding and strategizing. So thank you, Brian, for getting us to Capitol Hill a few times.
Yes.
So gotten through this crucial period of de-risking where together with the government through these clinical trials, we've gathered the necessary evidence to support the validity, safety, efficacy of what we're doing. And that has prepared us to enter a new paradigm where now we are fundraising, private investment. We wanted to leverage patient capital and non-dilutive capital sources.
You've been able to do this for 10 years to get to this point. That's really cool. You're working in these military hospitals or VAs. What are the clinicians saying? Obviously, they've never seen anything like this before. I'm assuming a lot of these people have probably been doing this for a long time, and they kind of see the half-assed results that could happen. Think this one's going to work, but to actually get the feedback and try different things. I mean,
it's really exciting.
Yeah.
So, in the Department of Defense and Veteran Affairs, if you're in need of a prosthesis, you have a bit more flexibility and options. Generally, someone in the VA system, if they need a prosthesis, they can get it. If they need a running leg or a swimming leg, they can build out their closet of options.
Imagine having a closet full of legs.
It's necessary to get around the world because these feet are not magic. You need a different foot depending on what you're trying to do. Now there are companies in 3D printing prosthetic limbs, so any
that's
look
a whole
and
other
feel.
thing.
Despite all these possibilities within the DoD and VA, we have amazing centers of excellence. If you contrast that to prosthetics care on the civilian side, people have much fewer options. And deal with private insurance and Medicare.
Right. Let's talk about reimbursements because I know that's such a big deal. And I'm thinking reimbursements have to be a lot easier because they know you're going to get the right fit. They're not gambling on it because there's a chance you're going to have to return it because it's not. I mean, I can't even get a sweater on Amazon to fit properly. Seriously, a hipster, medium, large, you think it's going to fit, but it doesn't. And that's a $30 sweater, not a $10,000 foot.
We want to establish a standardized, fair system for making these decisions. Whereas currently, if you can't get the limb you want, it turns into a legal battle. It's hard for both sides to agree on a standard way of thinking about
this. This can create that standard, right?
Not only are we creating the standard, but also providing a tool to make this easy.
That's the whole key, right? Make it simple, no friction. Make it a simple process. You're doing that now, which is pretty cool.
We've demonstrated the technology works, a big achievement. Now we're building out the commercial go-to-market strategy.
But I feel people are going to see how this solves a tricky niche problem, but a very important one. I can't imagine there's too many other companies that are working on a solution similar to this at all, right? I think this is pretty much, you own this.
Let me say two things.
Or I'll make a few calls and make sure that company doesn't get too far ahead.
In the prosthetic foot business, we're definitely unique. There's a lot of innovation, but most of the innovation is with companies creating new foot types,
Okay.
which just multiplies the profit because now we have more options.
Well, yeah. Plus, they designer colors now, I hear.
There's a lot of pomp and circumstance around certain kinds of technologies.
You're just making sure it feels right and it functions properly.
Yeah.
So there could be many options through your system. People can try them out and see what works best for them.
And it's not just feet.
This has to be applicable to other extremities, right? Okay.
Exactly. Our go-to-market strategy is feet first because we need to be focused and have a tip to the spear. But there's people with physical, neurological, musculoskeletal situations all over their body that could require some kind of external assistance.
Right.
So we're taking that.
This technology works for the foot, but you could adopt it to other applications as you start seeing where the market could really be benefited from it, right?
Exactly. So
wow, that's so cool.
This will establish our foothold in the clinical market and demonstrate that this is possible in one area of the body. Then we can translate that.
Wow. That's so exciting. I can see why you guys are all fired up for like 2025. This is like a big year for you guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We just presented at an annual meeting of clinical prosthetists down in Atlanta for the first time. I've attended this conference before, but now Humotech is exhibiting on the trade show floor. We're building our list of clinical sites that would be interested in piloting.
Okay.
So that's my appeal to the audience. If there's any clinicians or healthcare leaders
you're out
in the
there.
audience.
I'm serious. Call Josh.
We're looking for who wants to be a part of the early adopters, has an ideal environment for innovative rehabilitation technology solutions.
This is why I love these conversations. Only in Pittsburgh is there a company doing this, right? I mean, come on. I get really excited about companies when they build stuff that really helps people. I'm all about the apps and fun stuff, but if you can have someone who's gone through some trauma, they've lost a limb, lived their life the way they want, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
You get double points for that. So you get 2, right?
I feel a great sense of purpose when I wake up in the morning.
That's something that drives because you know the work you're doing is making a difference.
And Pittsburgh's the town. We talked about my origin story, beginning with robotics. Everybody talks about how Pittsburgh's an eds and meds town.
Yeah.
Major educational institutions are key. We have big health systems here that are highly innovative. We have the right ingredients for products and companies like ours.
I'm glad you stayed in Pittsburgh to build this thing. And I think it's just fantastic. I know the Tech Council, we're huge fans of what you guys have been doing. This is why we get excited. We see our members they build stuff like this. And being able to get a little bit of that story out to me is just very exciting. I can't thank you enough for your time. And tell us about what's going on with Humotech. We got links to your website and all that fun stuff. And there's people want to check it out and learn more and connect with you. If you know clinicians, or get in touch with Josh. Simple as that. Thank you.
Please find us, humotech.com. It's easy to find me.
Awesome stuff. Appreciate it. This is Jonathan Kersting with the Pittsburgh Technology Council.